Welcome to Creative Piano Academy with me, Joseph Sikora, and today we are looking at finger speed, trying to get rid of tension when we first start playing to let that speed flow through. So I've got a really boring, a really dull, back to basics principle for you. I'm really selling this to you, aren't I? And you can apply it to anything, so let's roll that intro and get cracking. So you might see pianists just flying over those keys, just letting all those notes flow out really, really fast. Particularly with arpeggios where it can sound pretty dreamy. This kind of stuff. And when we first start playing, that kind of flow, that speed can seem a little bit out of reach. So I want to show you a principle here that you can apply to any exercise, any piece that you're working on that will train that flow. Another reason why you might be interested in learning this and practicing this is when we want to express our musicality and let that emotion flow through the music. I've got plenty of patterns on this channel, so if you check my playlists and have a look at some patterns, you can try some of this out for yourself. But for instance, if I've got a pattern and I want to try and bring that emotion out, I'm not going to be able to do that if I'm stiff, yeah? So for instance, you can only bring out that emotion in your playing, and you can only bring out that speed as well when you are relaxed. So let's take a look at this principle and what's happening here. There's a few reasons why we don't play as fast as we want to, but the main core reason behind all that is quite literally tension, okay? And we need to loosen up. It's totally normal because we find ourselves in front of this keyboard, this totally foreign environment when we're first starting out. We're using our muscles in ways we've never used them before, and that manifests itself as tension, as we're going through that adaptation process. So it's not uncommon to find ourselves locking up at the shoulder, the elbow, all the way down to the fingers, and we find ourselves like this. And quite literally, I have a student that comes, he plays like this, and I shouldn't laugh. It's not a laughing matter, but we've been working on it, and it's much better now. But that's quite common. We find ourselves really tense like this, and we need to loosen up. So imagine we've got a spectrum, and this represents tense. This is like totally locked up, totally tense. And what we don't want to do is aim for perfection, which is in the middle. We don't want to do that because we'll never reach it, okay? So what we want to do is we want to think in terms of extremes. This is an extreme because we're totally locked up and tense. We want to go for totally loose and floppy, like a noodle, okay? And here, this doesn't represent correct playing, but what it will do is train you to feel what it's like to be completely loose, completely floppy. And then once you've got those reference points over time, you can then balance it out and reach the middle, which is where we want to be. Thinking in terms of extremes is a great practice resource for you. But in this context, okay, I've got two exercises for you. These two exercises I show all my students on their very first lesson. So we're going to go over those. And that is quite simply just placing our right hand down on the C position here. We've got our thumb on the C, little finger on the G, and we're just going to move up and down those keys like this, just in a nice sequential pattern. I've actually got these in my video, 5 beginner piano exercises, something like that. I'll link it in the cards. It's straight out of that, but it's a really useful exercise just to get started. Now you will find that you're proper tense like this as you're moving up and down when you're first starting off. So what I want you to try and do is totally loosen up. Okay, let your structure go. It's not about aiming for perfection now. We just want to completely loosen up like a noodle, okay? And try and get a feel for that. So you want to be like floppy here. Your fingers can just drop down, and you might find that you're not hitting the right keys. It sounds a little bit off. That's totally fine. It's not what we're doing here. So I want you to try and get that feel for complete looseness, going like this, okay? And then what you can do is go to the other extreme. Now purposefully go tense, yeah, and then loose. Get the feel for the extremes, and then over time try and feel that structure where you can keep that smoothness, you can keep the consistency, and over time you can try and let the speed flow out because that tension isn't there as a barrier in the way. And that's all it is, guys. You know, this here, it might look impressive, it might sound impressive, but honestly, and I'm not trying to be patronizing or anything here, but it's not that difficult. It's kind of a little bit of a trick, to be honest. And you know, all you're doing here is you come in with a hammer and a chisel and you're chipping away at the barrier between you and speed. You can already play fast, guys. It's just about stripping away that tension in order to unlock it. So tense, loose, totally loose, and then find the balance in the middle, okay? So that's exercise 1. Exercise 2 I show my students is chord-based, and that is using the C chord here. So that's C, E, G, and C, F, and G. And we're just going to move between those two like this, okay? So normally I strike 4 on the C and 4 on the C sus4 like this. And if you want to see a video of me teaching this and using the sustain pedal, link in the cards. Now, before I move on to that exercise, remember, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, smash that subscribe button as well as that little notification bell so you know when I upload new videos. Okay, so get into the C position and play it 4 times, and then the C sus4 4 times. Now, this is one of those exercises that you, in my experience teaching beginners, almost always they end up very, very tense, okay? So if you're starting this out for the first time, chances are you'll be quite tense. So again, you want to just completely loosen up the arm, loosen up the wrist, and just fall down onto those keys like this. Remember, this isn't about playing it correctly. It's not about perfection. It's about feeling what it's like to be relaxed. Training that feeling. And again, you can flick between the two. So tense, and then totally floppy like a noodle. And you might find that this is particularly difficult because of this little 4th finger here coming down onto that F. So with the left hand, we can add in a few notes to that and actually turn it into a nice piece of music for you. Sounds like this. I could put an F there, A, G. And this is a really nice way, by the way, little side note, of playing a few more interesting chords. Nothing special, but it's something a bit musical for you to have a go at. So there we go, guys. You know, go tense, relax. Tense, relax, extremes. I'm not saying this is going to be a magic solution for you, but over time, you'll be able to feel your way to the middle. Rather than aiming for the middle straight away, you want to give your body time to adapt and feel your way to the middle and to express yourself as a musician and increase your fundamental speed. Mind my YouTube channel for exercise ideas. I'll put a link to a few suggestions in the information box down below. Particularly check out my piano pattern playlist. There's just a bunch of really nice melodic patterns for you to have a go at that trains that speed, trains that musicality in really fun, you know, just musical ways. You can also head to creativepianoacademy.com for my best adult piano practice plan, where you can put these exercises into a proper structured practice routine. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.